morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. This is the Big Girl Diary. Now, today, I'm going to talk about something that I haven't spoken about in a while, and I think we need to talk about it again. And that is BBW dating opportunities. Now, you're like, Big Girl Diary? What? Is it slim to none or is it a myth? And for some people, it's a myth because they have some people have trouble dating due to their size. But however, I believe that it's more of a it's more of an attitude up here. Just my thought. Just my thought. Because big girls, they're out there dating, they're having fun, looking fabulous, and having a good time out there and snatching up guys. Now, if you have a mindset, and it all goes according to your mindset, you project what you are. If you project insecurity, scarcity, or just lack of confidence, you're going to project that. People feel that vibration. And they're going to say, no, 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 too much trouble. Now, I was looking at an article that, you know, prompt this prompt this video, and this woman, it was out of Good Housekeeping. Yeah, I know. She says what it's really like to date as a fat woman. Now, this right here is her personal experience, and I have to say, mm, again, mindset. Now, she starts off shooting from the hip, straight out. She says, "I want you to imagine Derek. Change his name to protect the guilty." First sentence. Mindset. Tall with jet black hair, just a touch of shy swagger. His voice was deep and his pants rode low, sitting on his hips. Hips I soon will know well. So it went from dating to, you know. Now, if you put yourself out there like that, um, mm, then you're going to feel a little bit used. Just my thought. So before we go any further into Deep's pants, let me back up and give you some context. Nowadays, I am a proud fat woman who teaches people how to love their bodies. Your first sentence was to protect the guilty. Okay. All right. If that's what you say. uh, Writes books about it, and has a podcast where I share with thousands of people that sound like myself eating delicious things. I also currently have a body positivity partner who unapologetically adores me with a passion and humility that warms my heart every day. Okay, right there. In my opinion, it's not a good thing. Because for me, whenever you start talking about body positivity, you start encroaching in on other people's um, what do you call it? Preferences. Everyone has a preference. Everyone has a right to have a preference. And when you put your preference on the other people because you have body positivity, yeah, that is you, your body positivity. It doesn't mean that everybody else has to follow along with your body positivity. Now you might say, "Big girl diary." Well, you're big too. Yeah, I am. But I think preaching body positivity is not a good thing. Because what you're doing, in my opinion, is that you're putting your lack of will, whatever that will may be, and you're saying, because I have this lack, I'm going to create something to make you accept me as I am. Well, if you're doing that to other people, then you haven't accepted yourself as you are. That's an illusion what you're putting out there. And some people might, snipe back at me by saying, well, Big Girl Diary, you can't say that. Yes, I can. And I dare you call me fat phobic. Okay. It's just, in my opinion, a bit much. But let me go on with this. And then, but in this story is about, this happened a while ago, and she's just telling it. This article came out last year. But in this story, it's about 2006. I am I am a new and wide-eyed transplant to San Francisco. Okay, so there, you're in a place where you're culturally different. And then now you have to learn the people, learn the culture and the things that they do and don't do, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Now you're coming into this situation and you have no clue and you want to start dating and you have no idea about the culture. I see why you're upset. Okay. I'm in my mid 20s and I'm just starting to consider, after years of of disorder eating, I think she meant eating disorder. Maybe my body is okay the way it is, and I don't need to spend every moment of my life trying to become smaller. Well, if that right there is a case, and that's how you're taking it, your body is good the way it is. You don't need to lose weight. You don't need to do any of those things because your body is fine just the way it is. Then okay, all right. But that sounds a little bit disingenuous because what you're saying and what's going on are two different things, in my humble belief. All right. So then, okay. So then she says, Derek is my neighbor. Oh God, your neighbor. You wanna have relations with your neighbor. That is bad. You never eat and crap where you live. Okay, well, it's what you work, but in this case, it's not a good idea. It's never a good idea to do anything like that. He is her neighbor, and oh my goodness. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Where was I? Okay, Derek is my neighbor, and I thought we met online. Derek responded to my ad in which I say I'm a BBW, big beautiful woman seeking someone who is into that. All right, there are guys who are going to be into that. Uh, okay, guys, that's a whole other ball of wax. It's a completely different ball of wax. You've got, oh, you've got, okay. Calling myself a BBW is new to me. Now, keep in mind, she's in her 20s. So, by her being a BBW, she worked herself up to that. That right there is okay. And more than that, I feel safe somehow just putting it out right away. And that is a good thing. Always let someone know what they're dealing with and give them a chance to say yay or nay. So, okay, as far as her, I'm like, you start off just, but now, okay. Yep, I am a societal reject whose body has derided daily from others' amusement. I'm sorry, berated daily for others' amusement. Well, if you're being berated, you need to learn how to give it back because I believe in freedom of speech And if you start berating me, I'm going to give it back. And if more people adopted that attitude, then there would be less issues because you are defending yourself, or if that's what you want to call it. I call it giving back what you give. Okay, and if I were not down with okay, if you're not down with seeing me as an actual real human, then there's an outdoor or there's a door. To me, already there's a lot of negativity, a lot of insecurity, and dare I say, I don't want to say self hatred, but self dislike. So if you hear all these things, these little nibit here, nibit there. Okay, before I start justifying myself, no, you're too late. You're too late for that. But before I start justifying myself up front, I am fat in my dating profile, and I had spent hours, days, months pondering whether I should be a party to upholding the world's view that uh, that the most important thing about me and a potential suitor is the size of my body. Conclusion: I did not, but by that point, I had just enough terrible first dates, and I mean terrible as in the excuse. Okay, I'm gonna move on because she's just doing a lot of. Okay, when you're young, especially if you were big in your teens and then you bring that into your 20s, you bring a lot of baggage, a lot of insecurities, as I said. And those insecurities are quite apparent. And if you're at the point to where you're dating your neighbor on an app and he happens to be your neighbor and you go along with it anyway, that is asking for more heartache. Because there are sometimes what guys do, and you're wrong for this, is sometimes guys have a dry spell and they'll go ahead and date BBWs to give them something to do. I'm not saying all men do this. No, there are some men who really love big women. They just prefer big women for their reasons. They do not like skinny women for their reasons. I mean, I heard guys tell me certain things about big women and skinny women and how some men prefer big women. I'm not going. Well, maybe I'll do another live stream about why they prefer it. But for this woman here, it seems like that she didn't have much luck dating due to her weight. She didn't have much luck at all. Wait a minute, my okay. She didn't have much luck at all. Now, by her not having a lot of luck, she is portraying all this stuff just by listening to what she says. Now, instant chemistry. So Deke responded that he's interested, very interested. We met up, and the chemistry was ridiculous. Very quick. I very quickly learned he is an amazing kisser, and he desires me as an is undeniable. By the end of the night, he's under my shirt and surprisingly goes for my stomach. Wow! I mean, she just the first date. She's just. I wouldn't suggest that. Allowing that on the first date. That is a bit much. Uh, and he starts caressing me and moves straight. into what I call worshiping it. Mm. And so I'm into it and I'm ready for the man to sexualize my entire body, not just my breast or thighs, but he does all of that too. He probably left his phone around he probably left my place around 2 a.m. and we hung out for a second time and a third time and in the first week, and by hanging out I mean we spent time mexing. I can't say what I want to say, so it's SCX at my house. So this is another part of the fat girl dating story, regular old generic misogyny as the straight woman didn't get to be too demanding. Now, that's not just a fat girl problem. That is just a woman problem. And then if you attach that misogyny, you got to stop that right there. Because keep in mind, men have a preference too. So you're just throwing that out there. You got to look, women, that doesn't fly. That doesn't fly at all, especially when she put herself out there like that on the first date, allowed the touch action, which led into more action. And they just say, oh, another fat girl dating story. Now it goes straight into not don't be too demanding. Now, why are you demanding to begin with? I mean, that right there needs to stop. I mean, because you have to have your own set of morals and morals in a set of sense of right and wrong, and you gotta do stuff to fill up your own time and not be demanding. You shouldn't be demanding at all from from some other person because you're not married. You're dating, and whatever they do is with their business. Whatever you do is your business. If you happen to come to a consensus to where you want to be um, in a relationship, that's something different. But that's not what she's saying. So, okay, the 3Ds: don't ask, don't hold him accountable, and don't be surprised if he doesn't call. Wow, that right there is a big sign of desperation. That is not good at all. Men or people, period, don't like desperation. Women don't like desperate men, and men don't like desperate women because it puts way too much on the other person. So if you're calling and calling and calling, and you want that person's attention, that is a bit much on the other person. You have to feel comfortable in yourself to where you could have your own attention. So don't ask questions, don't hold him accountable, and don't be surprised if he doesn't call you back. You already compromised your morals right there. Right there. I mean, don't hold him accountable, don't ask him questions. Well, then what do you do if you don't ask him questions? Um, Even slender women know these horrible rules, just like I said. So now take those rules and multiply them by somewhere between 10 and 1,000, then you got the rules of many fat women face while navigating dating. Okay. There are big women who do ask questions. I do. I ask questions. And if he says goodbye, then hey, goodbye. See you. Cheerio. But that doesn't happen very often. Okay. So even though Derek asked to see me multiple times in the first week, it was clearly a he was clearly attracted to me, and I did not push to see him in daytime outside my apartment. But I was worried that I came off too needy. Now, that should have been a big clue right there. If he was coming over to your house, seeing you at nighttime, and he didn't see you in the daytime, he liked you, but then there was an issue. He didn't want anyone to know that he was talking to a big girl, a BBW. Now, if all the dates and everything took place at in your house or his house, then you know what the deal is, and you continued with it. Um, see him in daylight outside of my apartment because I was worried I was coming off too needy. No, you weren't coming off too needy. So go back to the three D's. Don't ask questions, don't hold him accountable, and don't be surprised if he doesn't call. Well, you just got to see things for what they are. Don't delude yourself. So after a hot, heavy week, Derek asked if he could come over the following Monday. We had another day of a steamy session, as she calls it, and we were lying in bed talking about the philosophical uh, Tarantino or something and holding hands. After I paused, I gathered up the courage and asked him if we could go out next time we see each other, maybe go for coffee. After all, we didn't just have a great mexual chemistry. You know what that is. Put an S there. Please don't sit there and. What do you mean by mexual? Put an S there in front of the M. Okay. We long had rolling back. Uh, we had what rollicking conversations, and had talked about how much we enjoyed each other's time. Yeah, yeah. He was enjoying the time that he had with you doing the vertical, wait a minute, vertical, horizontal mambo. I keep on getting that confused. If I dated you, then my friends would never let me hear the end of it. And this is some guys go through this, and that is he likes you, but he doesn't have the confidence to be with you in public because his friends are going to make fun of him. And yeah, you have that type of peer pressure. That right there is very true. Not all guys have gotten to the point to where they stand firm on what they loved, where they feel comfortable with. And he felt comfortable with her and had amazing sexual time and amazing conversations. He just was not ready to take her out in public, him, her, and the world, and what that would entail to him. Was he ready to deal with it? And and this is something that people have to understand. Again, big women, you have to understand that if you are big, whatever your issues are, whether if you have some kind of medical issue, whether you have some kind of eating disorder that it's coming from up here that you have not addressed, whether if you are not exercising willpower to put that fork down and to get up and walk, even though a guy may like you, he may be even borderline love you, but he still has to deal with the outside. And dealing with big women, not many people, as she said earlier in the article, that she dealt with being teased. If they tease you in your face, you can imagine what they're going to do to him. Let me but say this part of the article. There was a silence. As much time he hesitated, he passed. Hesitation passed. It felt more like a kid who just broke the vase and was waiting for punishment, vulnerable as hell. He said something about being busy. And then he leveled up with me. Listen, he said, You are my absolute ideal body type. He was into big women. I mean, absolute ideal. But if I dated you, then my friends, as I said, would never let me hear the end of it. Frankly, I'm sorry, but I just don't have the balls or the cojones to date you, basically openly date her. Frankly, I just do not have the balls to date you openly. Now, as she stated earlier, oh man, where did she say it? Ah, come on, come on, come on. I passed it. I want you to imagine Derek change his name to protect the guilty. Now, when I look at the picture, she's not. She's chubby, chubby in the face. Her body's chubby. She's not fat. But then again, some people might say a size 16 is fat. Some people might consider a size 20 fat. Some people might. It's extremely subjective. Extremely subjective, and I'm just gonna leave it like that. So then she goes on to say, so it wasn't a conspiracy theory. I mean, I had to hand it to Derek for explaining the mythical part of the hetero masculinity that had uh, heretofore been expecting but ever confirmed. Other men were allegedly Derek's friend, would harass him if he went out with me. Now I gotta say, my ex, uh, he likes big women. Actually, he likes all he likes all women. He doesn't discriminate. But we've been together for a long time, and let's see, about 14 years. And you're asking why not married? Well, that was more so me. I wasn't ready to cross that line because I was married before, and I just okay. Um, blah, blah, blah. But there are some men. Um, man, men can be terrible. Oh my goodness, the men can be really terrible to each other. Um, my ex was he just loved women, and he's the type of guy that he didn't care what anyone said at all. But he would also check them too, say, "Hey, she's my woman. Keep your mouth shut. I chose her." And you'd be worried about your woman and who you choose. That was him. So for him to explain that to her and to be vulnerable by saying, "Look, I don't have the cojones to face my friends and to deal with the ridicule that I'm going to hear. I don't have it within me to stand up and say, hey, that's who I chose. Shut up. You don't like it. That's on you. Be concerned with your love life and leave mine alone." He wasn't there. And by him being in his 20s, he hasn't grown into himself. By me being older, I could look back at that in retrospect saying, I get it. I get where he's coming from. But when you're at that age, especially when you have weight issues, whether if you want to do something about it or not, if you're fine and you want to deal with that body positivity uh, paradigm, then fine, do that. But just understand, you're going to come across guys like this. that really like you but won't take you out in public, have amazing connections, but the amazing connections will only be indoors. And that's the part of it. But, all right, I'm going to leave it here.